Alright, what is up, everybody? We are back with another edition of Everyday Hoops. Hope you guys are having a good one. Today, we're going to be talking about the Sacramento Kings. They are on fire as of recently. They've won 6 in a row since firing Mike Brown. They are 6-1, and they are making a slow comeback in the league. We're going to talk all about them here in today's video. Thank you guys for the views on the videos and the shorts recently. I really appreciate it. If you do like the content around here, consider subscribing, liking, turn notifications, do all stuff like that. I'd really appreciate it. It really helps out a lot. I'll link to my Twitter, all that stuff down in the description below. And yeah, don't waste any more of your time. Let's get right into it. So the Sacramento Kings, since firing Mike Brown, they are 6-1. They're currently on a 6-game win streak. They're back to 500 for the first time in a month at 19-19. Just got a great win over the Boston Celtics last night, and they might be slowly making a comeback. Coming in the year, they had some expectations. Obviously, after last year failing to make the playoffs, after the year before, they were a top 3 seed in the Western Conference. I've made a video or two about the Sacramento Kings already on this channel, talking about the Kings and how things are looking pretty bad for them in the future and all that stuff. They end up firing Mike Brown after a 5-game losing streak and a loss to the Detroit Pistons. Then their first game without Mike Brown, they lost to the LA Lakers by 10. And since then, they have not lost. They beat the Dallas Mavericks, they beat the Sixers, the Grizzlies, smoked the Warriors, beat the Heat in double overtime. And then last night, they beat the Boston Celtics in Boston by 17. And they are slowly making a comeback on their way. They're back at 500 at 19-19. They're still actually, they're jumped up to number 9 now in the Western Conference because how tight the Western Conference is. But yeah, and they're looking a lot better in the last couple of games. So maybe was Mike Brown the issue? I don't really know. We'll look at their numbers first. All these numbers are only from their last 7 games since Doug Christie has come in as the interim head coach. In this stretch, they have the number 5 offense, the number 5 defense, and they're 5th in net rating. So top 5 in both categories. Where before Mike Brown, they actually were pretty good in both categories. In both offense and defense, they look like a pretty good team. But top 5 in offense, top 5 in defense. On the offensive end, they're 3rd in points per game, 6th in assists per game. So they're still scoring, still passing the ball. Also, offensive rebounding has been a big thing for them. Over this stretch, they're 2nd in offensive rebounds per game and 4th in rebounds per game. So they're getting a lot of offensive rebounds, a lot of extra opportunities. Domantas Sabonis has been great there. He just had a 28 rebound game last night. They're 3rd in steals, 4th in points off turnovers, 6th in second chance points, 2nd in opponent. I'm sorry, 4th in points off turnovers, 6th in second chance points. So obviously, getting a lot of offensive rebounds, they're going to get a lot of second chance points. And then the points off turnovers also have been a thing this year as well for the entirety of the year, where I feel like they've been really good at. Looking at their defensive numbers, they're 2nd in opponent second chance points. They're 6th in opponent fast break points. So they're not letting teams get out and get easy ones in transition, which I think was a pretty good thing when Mike Brown was there. 6th in opponent points in the paint. They're 5th in opponent field goals made, 3rd in opponent field goal attempts, 1st in opponent offensive rebounds, 2nd in opponent rebounding, 4th in opponent turnovers. So some key categories in terms of not giving up rebounds, forcing turnovers, and not letting teams get up a lot of shots. And they just have been better recently over the stretch and everything. You know, it feels like they're kind of rejuvenated a little bit. Things are looking a lot better over there, and maybe the one of the reasons why they have been so good recently is because they just needed a new person in the locker room. Mike Brown has been there for what, 3 years, aroundish, and there are a lot of reports, people speculate that maybe he did lose the locker room. And looking at how they've been playing the last couple games, there could be some truth to that. I'm not saying that is the reason. I'm not saying that Mike Brown's a bad player coach or anything like that. But looking at this stretch, maybe Mike Brown just did lose the locker room. Maybe he did. Maybe he lost the locker room. Maybe the Kings, they just wanted someone new in there. Maybe they respect Doug Christie a lot more. Because Doug Christie seems like, he's been a commentator before. Now he moved into the coaching, side of things. And it just feels like he's a fun personality that I think a lot of players will kind of go towards, in Doug Christie. So yeah, and he's got this team looking really well. There's also been some schematic changes, I guess, giving DeMar DeRozan a lot more opportunities, different opportunities. He's also been shooting a lot more threes as recently. Malik Monk has gotten a lot more involved in the offense. He's been a lot better recently. Some of their shooters, guys like Keegan Murray, Kevin Herter, have had some bigger moments in this game recently. Over these last 7 games, DeMar DeRozan has been very good. Give you 21 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists. He's shooting 47, 32, 88 shooting splits, which are increased numbers than what he was when Mike Brown was there. You know, I feel like he's getting the ball in a lot more different spots. I feel like that was one of the things Doug Christie wanted. He said, I forgot exactly what he said, but he said he wanted to give DeMar DeRozan some different looks in different spots, and he's been doing good. He's had a couple big games. He had that double overtime game against Miami where he was amazing in the clutch in that one, and he just looks a lot better. He's shooting a lot more threes recently. And then Malik Monk, I feel like Malik Monk has been a huge part in the Kings being a lot better. Malik Monk over this last 7 games has given you 22 points, 4 rebounds, and 7 assists on 42, 32, 94 shooting splits. De'Aaron Fox also has missed the last couple games due to, I forgot what exactly the injury is, but in the Grizzlies game, he took a hard fall and he's missed the last couple games. Malik Monk has stepped in and played the De'Aaron Fox role kind of very well. We already know how good he is at scoring, but the playmaking and the facilitating has gotten better and better year by year. And now he's averaging 22 points and 7 assists in his last 7 games. He's had big assist nights. He's had big nights where he's had to score a lot, and he looks a lot more confident, a lot better this year than he was in the first couple games under Mike Brown. Um, Keon Ellis also has been playing a lot more. Last year, Keon Ellis was kind of like a standout player for them, where at the end of the year, when injuries happened, he came in and he fit this team perfectly. And coming into the season, Mike Brown didn't really play him a whole lot. Before when Mike Brown was there, he was playing about 20-ish minutes a game. Now in these last 7 games, he's averaging almost 29 minutes per game. Give you 10 points, 2.5 steals on 46, 41, 85 shooting. He's been a key part of this team. He brings a lot of defense, a lot of energy and hustle, and something they need at the guard position that they didn't really have before. So Keon Ellis definitely should be getting minutes, and Doug Christie is recognizing that Keon Ellis is a huge part of this team, and be like, hey, give him minutes. And then other guys besides them, I mean, Kevin Huerter has had a couple solid games. In the last couple, Demonis Sabonis has still been good. De'Aaron Fox is still doing his thing. Devin Carter, their lottery pick, is back, and in his 4 games, he's given you 7 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists on 33% shooting from three. Trey Lyles has had a couple of solid games as well. So the Kings, I mean, they're looking good. I mean, looking at some of their wins they beat the Dallas Mavericks now. They did almost lose that game. No Luka Kyrie, but they found a way to come back and make it a W. They beat the Philadelphia 76ers in a game where they were down 16 in the fourth quarter and came back. They was able to get that win thanks to De'Aaron Fox dropping 14, Malik Monk having 10, and they came back, played some good, solid defense, and they won that game. Then they beat the Memphis Grizzlies in a electric game, winning by 5 points in this one. In a game where De'Aaron gave you 23, Malik Monk gave you 31, 29 for DeMar, 17, 10, and 6 for Domantas Sabonis. Keon Ellis gave you 13. Trey Lyles has 16 points, hit 4 from 3 off the bench. Malik Monk and them made some big plays down the stretch in the fourth quarter for them to win that game. Then they smoked the Golden State Warriors by 30. Then they go in a double overtime game and they beat the Miami Heat in a double overtime where DeMar DeRozan gave you 30, 23 from Malik, 21, 11, and 8. 21, 18, and 11 for Domantas Sabonis. Keegan Murray hit 4 threes. Keon Ellis hit a couple threes. He had 3 steals, 8 rebounds. They played some good defense in the overtime periods. And just a great game. And then last night, they beat the Boston Celtics in Boston without your best player in De'Aaron Fox, where the Celtics had their full healthy lineup out there. That's big. DeMar gave you 24. Domantas gave you 23 and 28. 22 from Malik. 19, Keegan Murray hit 5 threes. One of the big things has been Keegan Murray has not been shooting the 3-ball well. The last couple games, he's been shooting the 3-ball pretty solid. So he's kind of turning a corner now. They're 3-0 in clutch games under Doug Christie, which was a huge factor in the Kings not being good. Is before this, they were 6-13 in clutch games. They just could not close out games, whether it's on the offensive end or the defensive end. They had a couple games where they just couldn't close out. I mean, the losing streak that ultimately ended Mike Brown's, Kings coaching tenure. The Denver Nuggets, they lost by 1 because DeMar DeRozan lost the ball on an easy layup that could have won them the game. They lost to the Lakers in another close game. Then Detroit, they lost because De'Aaron Fox gave a 4-point play in the corner to Jaden Ivey. So there's a couple games where it's just like, man, throughout the entirety of the year, there's a couple games where you look back on it and you're like, dang, 1 or 2 different possessions, and we could be probably a 6th seed in the Western Conference, but it just didn't happen like that. And so the Kings kind of scapegoated Mike Brown a little bit for what it seemed like. But now with Doug Christie's there, they have not lost a clutch game yet. They've got some really good wins. They got other players stepping up and playing a lot better than they did early in the year. And now the Kings look like a competent team again. Am I saying this is going to change the future of the Kings? No, not really. I still think the Kings aren't really a top team in the West, and they still have some work to do in that regard. But they look rejuvenated. It looks like they're slowly on their way back. And maybe if they continue to play like this the rest of the year, who knows what's gonna happen? Maybe Doug Christie is the right guy for this team. Maybe Doug Christie is the voice and the coach that they need to help win games for them. Maybe that's what it is. Who knows? The NBA is you never know what's gonna happen in the NBA. Maybe Doug Christie is a really good coach. But it's nice to see the Kings kind of find their way back a little bit, and now they're in the play-in. Things are looking trending upward a little bit. We got to obviously it's only a 7 game stretch, so they have so much more time. We got to really wait and see, what else is gonna happen. Is this just a little street stretch where we lost the usually teams go through this where you fire a coach and all of a sudden they just go on a little hot streak and make you think, oh, was it really the coach? But then they finally come back down to earth. Is this just a hot streak for the Kings? Is this just we have a new coach now, rejuvenation kind of hot streak a little bit? Or is this actually who the Kings are now? Well, we got to wait and see what happens, but it's nice to see them finally kind of turn the table a little bit. But yeah, it's going to be it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed. Once again, if you do like the content around here, consider subscribing, liking, turn notifications, do all stuff like that. I'd really appreciate it a whole lot. And yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow.